Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson, with more than 2 decades in sales. I've been through it, lived it, seen it, heard about it, and now I'm here to bring it to you, my fellow sales professionals, because here's the deal. There's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on in sales, and it is literally the greatest industry on the planet because it gives us an opportunity to go and build a lifestyle that we can be proud of, that we can create as our own. And ultimately, when you do things right, you learn marketing, you learn sales, you literally learn how to write your own paycheck, which is something that I'm very excited about. Today's guest, I've known him for going on almost 5 years now. I've watched him come in, I've watched him build his business, learn the marketing side, and being an excellent sales professional. He has built one heck of a real estate investing business. I'd like to welcome my friend, Mr. Ky Logue. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Juby? Thanks for having me on, man.
I appreciate you being here, man. It's been an honor getting to watch your journey and to see you and your wife, Bree, building your business together. And I'm excited to know because I know when it comes to real estate investing, there's some crazy shit goes on. So tell me your wildest story, bro.
Man, so for real estate, I'm struggling to think of one. I think just first starting out, not really knowing what I was doing, we had some crazy ones. Probably it's like, so I went to look at a house. So I was calling all these, I got a list. I was calling all these different properties. I got one. The guy's like, yeah, you can go and check it out. So I go there and it's like the super sketchy area of San Antonio. I didn't know San Antonio that well. Just moved there at the time. And so I went to this house. It's in East Side. It's like really suspect. And, I'm looking around and kind of on edge, like my spider senses are tingling. I'm like, it's a weird neighborhood. And I go there and there's like, it's all boarded up. It's like a bunch of burn damage. It looks super sketchy. And I'm like, man, what is going on here? So I'm like, call the guy. I'm like, how do I get in? So I call him up and he goes, he didn't speak a lot of English. So we're kind of having trouble communicating. But he's like, there's a hole. There's a hole. I'm like, what do you mean there's a hole? He's like, there's a hole in the side of the building. You got to go and you got to crawl down there and you got to get in there, like through the hole. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay. I'm like, I already came this far, I'm not going to, leave now. So like walking through this, like the back of the house and I find the hole and it's a little tiny hole. And I get in there and I hear feel like I hear something like, you like feeling when you feel like someone's watching you or there's like, there's somebody there. And I'm like, oh, hold on. I look and I hear something. Some guy jumps out. And he's like this big, jacked, naked dude jumps out and he goes, hey, he's like, what the fuck are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm here to see the house, man. I'm like, I say to him, I'm here to see the house. He's like, oh, okay. And then he turns around and then he just start, if he didn't have to whip his dick out, he's already naked, but he turns around and he just starts pissing on the wall. And I'm like, I don't think this is the one for me. So I let the squatter stay there and said, I'm going to nope out of here.
Brother, I give you credit because I don't know if I would have reacted in such a calm manner if someone naked jumped out on me like that. I can only imagine that anyone listening that's in real estate investing has got a story like that of some sort where they were just getting started, went to some area that they realized they probably shouldn't have been in, and then quickly got the hell out of there. And I'm sure that's just one of many times that you've been in a situation like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I grew up, kind of came up in like call centers and worked like every sales job imaginable. I used to just, since the time I was 18, I'd just go on Craigslist and I'd pretty much answer any ad that was hiring a sales guy. So yeah, I've been through the ringer. I've been a bunch of super sketchy call centers and super sketchy sales jobs. And yeah, I've seen a bunch of stuff in my days.
And I love that. And that's why we created this show, man. So tell me about like the sketchiest call center you worked in. Like tell me the craziest, and you don't have to give up anything that might have been out of line here, but tell me some crazy stuff. That's why we're here.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of them, man. It's hard to pick one. So there was one I went to and it was, I think it was right over the border, Massachusetts. It's like right in New Hampshire, Massachusetts border. Like I talk to the guy, we do the phone interview and he's just like so excited. I'm an 18-year-old kid and he's just so excited to talk to me. He's like, wow, you have like the best phone voice I've ever heard. It's like the voice of an angel, he said. And I'm like, I was a dumb kid and I'm like, that should have raised some red flags there, but, it didn't. Like I still went and I needed a job and I needed money. So I drove, it was like a half hour. I was living at, Bree's mom's house, up in Maine. And like I drove down over the border, went to this place and I couldn't find him. Like, where's this call center? So like I called the guy up. I'm like, dude, where is this place? And he's like, oh, it's like in my house. It's like, it's like there, you'll see some limos out front. It's like above the limo business and next to the house. I'm like, fuck, dude. All right, I'm already here. I already drove all the way down here. Might as well see what's going on here. Yeah, I go in. I find it. Yeah, I had to drive a couple times. So I saw, but I saw the limos, and it was like above this garage. And so I go up there, like, and it's like just this dude's house, the garage, there's limos. Yeah, I go up to the garage, and there's like two other employees, and they look like like crackheads, or they look like drug addicts. And it's like, oh, like you'll see a bunch of those in call centers. But yeah, it's just these two sketchy looking guys, and it's the owner. And I'm like, and he's like super excited I'm there. And I'm like, so like, what are we doing, dude? And he's like, and I hear the guy, the crackhead looking guy, like making calls, and like he's like basically he's like saying he's a police officer without saying he's a police officer, and they're like asking for donations for the boys in blue. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? I guess I have an HBO documentary now that someone told me about. And I'm like, oh, I used to do that. That's what this job was. But yeah, so they're calling, pretending to be police officers, getting donations. And I'm like, what is this? And he's like, oh, we're doing it for him. Like, you can't say it's like a line. You can't say you're a police officer, but you got to like heavily imply it. I'm like, okay, this sounds sketchy, but I was a dumb kid. So I'm like, I'll try it, and then shortly got a sale, or a donation or someone to donate, whatever. It was like, I don't know, they were going to like some game, or it was like the police were playing against somebody else, or the firefighters or something, and we're like selling tickets for the event, or I don't know. I have no idea how it worked, but it's super sketchy. And so I'm like, all right, dude, like I get a deal. And this guy's like jumping up and down, and he's like basically rubbing it in the crackhead guy's face who's been there forever. And he's like the top salesman because he's the only salesman there. And he's like, oh, this guy's gonna be so much better than you. He's fucking great. He like pulls out his cell phone. He starts calling everyone he knows. And he's like, he called his dad and like his mom, like all like, and like, he's like, oh, I got this new guy, but things are turning around. We got this guy's gonna be a killer, dude. I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? I'm like, I gotta go. I'm gonna take my lunch break. He's like, oh yeah, you take it all the time. He's like, you know what? He's like, lunch is on me today. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, sweet deal. And I'm like, he's like, ask where he's going. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna drive around and find something. He's like, well, lunch is on me today. And he hands me like $2. And he literally handed me $2. And he's like, yeah, he's like, and like, if you're going to like McDonald's, like just bring something back for me. I'm like, okay, dude, well, at least you could get stuff off the dollar menu back then. But yeah, so I had the guy's $2, and I brought some bud with me. I used to smoke pretty heavy back then. But yeah, so I smoked a lot, and so I'm like, I gotta smoke, dude. This shit's fucking crazy. So I got like pretty big. Dude. I like smoked a couple bowls and like went to McDonald's and got the things back. And then I'm like, dude, so like, I must have smelled pretty strong. So I go up there and they're all looking at me and they're like fiending, and they're like, oh, like, oh, you smell real good. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. I'm just like playing dumb. Like, I don't know. Like, oh, you got like any weed, dude? I'm like, no. Like, you got like in your car? Like, we can smell that you just smoked, dude. Like can we have some? And it's like, so the boss and the crackhead looking guy and the crackhead looking guy's wife. And I'm like, I guess. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm like, whatever, dude. So we go down into the garage and we go down in the garage. I pack a bowl. I give it to him. The crackhead dude just like starts like, he takes like 6 hits in a row before he passes it. And then like the boss guy is like this like rat looking, like super sketchy looking guy. And he's just like stereotypical, it's like call center looking guy. If you can, if you've been in a call center, you can know what I'm talking about. But so he hands it to the rat face looking boss, and he hits it one time, and then like you hear someone banging on the door like it's the police, and they're like banging on the door, like, oh, and then like he like the guy freaks out. You can just see like the fear in his eyes, like the owner of the company. And he's just like looks terrified. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm just like baked out of my mind. Like, I don't know what's going on. I just need to leave. And so the guy's wife comes in from the house, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And like he jumps in, and he like does like a full 180 and like starts pointing at the limo. And he's like, in this right here, this limo, it's fucking, it fits 20 people, it makes us this amount of money. Like, and he's like, oh honey, I'm just showing him the limo. And she's like, no, you're not, you fucking druggie, dude. You're a fucking drug addict, dude. She's like, who gave it to you? Like, who gave you the weed? So I was like, I just gotta go. And then the crackhead guy starts fighting with the dude's wife. And I'm like, I noped out of there real quick. Like, yeah. I'm going back to Craigslist to find another job.
Get the fuck out of here. I didn't have quite that experience. I did one time go to interview at a call center. I didn't know it was a call center until kind of like I pulled up into this. It wasn't like the sketchiest area of like town, but it was kind of hit or miss. It was one of those areas that was like super sketchy area, not too sketchy area, kind of sketchy area. It was like that weird in between spot. And I pull
Mm-hmm.
into this place and I walk in, and I'll never forget, like, the dude that met me at the door, same thing, super excited, like, oh man, I'm so pumped for you, like, come on in, come to my back office. And I'm like walking back and I'm looking around, and there's just desks and like school chairs and people in pajama pants and shit, like fucking hammering the phones. I'm going, I don't know about this one. And I like walk back to the desk, and he like opens the door, and I hear this ruckus behind me, and these two girls in the fucking room are like fighting. They're fist fighting over like a
Oh
list of
shit.
leads or something. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, hold on. He like goes to hand on. I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here too. I was like, I don't think this is the job for me. I'm out of here. And like, it was one of those things where I walked in and I knew as soon as I saw everybody in there had pajama pants on, and it was like 2 PM and I'm doing an interview for a job. I went, I'm in the wrong place, man.
Yeah, I've done that a few times and walked in with full suit and everyone's just wearing sweatpants and hoodies. And, yeah.
I had the opposite one time
life.
too. I walked into an interview and like I was sitting there waiting, and I was dressed up not super nice, because I'm not really a super nice dressy guy. I mean, like hat, hoodies, that's my style. But you know, I knew if I was looking for a job, I think I had a button-up shirt and whatever, and I looked, and everybody came out of this meeting and they're doing their hype up dance and getting all fired up to go out for the day, and they're all wearing suits and ties and dressed to the nines, like looking real dapper. And I remember looking at the lady at the desk, and I'm like, is this like a suit and tie every day kind of job? And she's like, oh yeah, we want to dress for success here. And I was like, cool, this ain't the job for me, I'm out. And she said, wait, what? Hold on, what's going on? What do you mean, sir? Come back. And I was like, no, I don't do that. I'm out. And they were all very confused, like, because the guy was coming out to greet me, and I was like, no, I don't think so, man. I'm out of here. I can't do that shit.
That's hilarious.
Well, and that's sales, though, man. That's the beauty of this industry, is like, wherever you are, whoever you are, you can be what you want to be, and you can be successful in it. And you're a great example of that, right? I mean, look at what you and your wife have been able to build by taking your skills in sales, moving it into an industry that you're passionate about and that you have really made an effort to learn and become an expert in. And one of the things I always like to ask on this show, for someone that has as much sales experience as you do, if you had to say like one thing was your secret weapon to sales, what would that be?
For me, I'm all about having a script. Yeah, I love having like my whole system there. Like I have the ideal call planned out. But if it's like there's one secret, it's having a script and knowing what I'm going to say before, not just winging it. And then just getting the reps in and just like practicing and practicing and practicing. Like when I first got a job at a call center, my buddy put me on, and I sucked the first time we read the script, tried to do it. I sounded robotic. I sounded super shitty. And like, he's like, oh, and like we literally just sat there all night and just kept drilling it till I got it down. And that's really all it is. Get someone to practice with you. If you don't, practice with yourself, record yourself, and just drill till you get it.
Man, that's such a great piece of advice. And it's honestly the first time I've done probably, 20 or 30 episodes by now. But that's the first time someone's ever said use a script. Like most people are like, oh, I'll just call the leads or do like, but a script is such a powerful tool when you understand that it doesn't have to be word for word or robotic, like you said. I mean, I've seen so many sales professionals like pick up a script and, sir, I'd like to offer you a thing. And it's like, no, fam, like practice it. Let's read this. Let's do some role play. Let's get used to having these conversations. That was one of the most powerful trainings that I had when I got started, was that role playing. When you create scripts, do you have like a process that you like to use, or do you just kind of go and make calls until you figure out what works and then write it down?
So now I have a process because I've been making them for so long. So I kind of have like my outline of, how I do it, like, intro, discovery, what we do real quick, and then get into it, and then it changes. But for me, it's always like, it's like never just stays that way. It's never static. Like it's always adapting and growing. I make little tweaks and changes. So even like the script I have now, like, I've used it in my other businesses. I use it in this business, but I'm still like, even now I've had it for over a decade, and like, I'm still, adding little things, trying little tweaks. I'll hear someone else say something that I like. I'm like, ooh, that's nice. Let me try that. And I'll put it in there and I'll test. So I'm always testing and adapting it. But yeah, it's like I don't know what the word for it is, but it's something just like constantly growing and getting better.
No, I love that. And that's really, again, why we say on the show that when you're learning and growing and changing and adapting, that's how you continue to grow and make more. If you just do the same thing over and over and over and over forever, you're only going to get a certain result. And it's those small little tweaks and refinements that allow us to keep growing and keep getting better. That is such a good point as far as understanding that there's the foundation and then there's the scaling of it, right? When you build a strong foundation, then you can really make little adjustments and it doesn't fall apart. But what I'd love to know, and again, this is all about stories. Tell me a time where you were using your script and you went maybe a little off script to try something new and it got like real hairy, but you were still able to pull it back.
So that's a tough one. So I try to never really go off script. So I kind of like Jordan Belfort taught us about the straight line, and like whenever
Yeah.
it goes off, you're on Pluto, you're talking about whatever. I'm always trying to get back to it. But really, yeah, pretty much every time I go off script, it gets real wild. People just talk a lot. I'm not really someone that like shoots the shit or talks about my favorite sports team or tries to find commonality. I try to be professional and just kind of go through it and just try to get them the result, find what they're looking for, and then deliver that result for them. And then, but yeah, so that's really it. But yeah, I've had people tell me all kinds of crazy stuff. So I've been on the phones forever. Their dog died, their husband died, whatever. There's something crazy happening, or that someone had told me once there was a tornado. That their house got hit by a tornado. They kept missing my calls. I'm like, well, that's fine. Do you have a cell phone? Like, let's pull it up. We'll sign the contract right there. Just So whatever they say, I come back to it and just they can say whatever, and then don't let it faze me. Just kind of go into it. We were closing deals on stage. Yeah, we were closing deals on stage at Travis Wells event, and the guy's like, "Oh, I'm driving." I'm like, "Oh, that's fine. When it's safe to do so, just pull over. Just find a spot you pull over, and then pull up the contract. Let's get it signed." Like,
that's one of the things too that is a great topic to bring up here is that everyone in sales is a little different. Rapport building is important. You need to develop a little bit of rapport. You got to get into like sync with someone. There is a line though where you as a sales professional have to understand when to draw that line and say, cool, we got to get back, like you said, straight line system. Hey man, we got to get back on topic. Like, I don't want to waste your time, and I know you're not here to waste mine. So like, what do you want to do? What's the offer you're looking at? Where do you want to move forward with this? You want us to pull over and sign this contract so we can get things done? And I'd love to know from you, because there's a lot of misconceptions about sales, and especially in the real estate investing world, I know you guys probably get people saying all kind of wily shit about you. What's like a big misconception that you deal with that you've found a way to overcome anytime someone brings it up?
like on like the seller perspective or someone new to the industry?
Yeah, I mean, for your industry, I mean, real estate investing is a good one, and I know there's going to be a lot of people listening that are like, well, what if I deal with this thing, or what if someone says this? What's one of the top ones that you deal with that you've been able to figure out and overcome?
Yeah, so probably one of the big ones we get is like they're worried they're going to get lowballed. Like, oh, you're an investor or you're a wholesaler. Those are all like bad words in their head. So it's like more just kind of changing the words we use. So I always try to just talk real simply to someone. Like I try to like explain it like I'm talking to like a fourth grader or fifth grader. I think the more simple you get, the better. When you use a lot of people try to use big words and sound smart, and like usually you're just, on rapport because they're like just thinking you're an asshole or whatever. They're not paying attention. But yeah, so like big one we get is they think oh, you're just gonna lowball me, or you're just trying to get my house real cheap. And then for me, I break it down. So I'll go through. I'm like, hey, this is why I can pay what we can pay. If you were to sell it, you're right. You probably could get that number, but you'd have to fix up the property. That's going to cost X. It's going to take you this many months. You're going to have to pay the realtor. You're going to have to, which is X. You're going to have to pay closing costs, which is this much. So I just break it down, like logically, just kind of overcome it, and then I close emotionally. So I'll go through it and like, or you can sell to me, which you're right, I do have to make a little bit of profit. So it will be a little less, but it's not going to take you all this time. It's going to be quick. It's going to be easy. Not only am I going to, get this price for you, and I think it's a very fair, competitive offer, but when you work with me, I'm going to get it done. We're going to get to the finish line. You don't have to keep worrying or stressing about this. You can just move on with your life and go on to the next phase.
That was a masterclass on closing, y'all. Make sure you go back and listen to this. Maybe I'll cut that and make it one of our great clips for this show, because that's great. And it is. It's really just about moving forward, getting things done, and being, just a straight shooter with people to make them understand, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is the logical side of things, why you need it to make sense to you. And now emotionally, how do you feel about it? Do you feel good? Let's fucking do this thing. And Ky, that was brilliant, my friend. I can tell you've been doing this for a while, which is why you're so successful, why you're having such luck, and why I've been really, really enjoying watching you and Bree building your business and stepping in and helping grow your community. And really one of the things, too, that I see you doing a lot is providing a lot of value for that space, right? You're helping people who want to learn that and who want to get into it, understand some different ways to keep growing and building their business. So, first, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. You run a business, you got things going on. So to be here and to share some time and some stories with us, like truly, truly grateful for that. If they're listening and they want to find you, I'm going to put all the stuff in the show notes, but like, where's the best place for them to come and find you? And, what's your big focus for 2024 where you might be able to help them?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm everywhere on social media at the real Ky Logue. Again, it's KYLOGUE. But yeah, I have a podcast, a real estate wholesaling syndicate podcast, where we interview some of the best investors. I do solo episodes where I break down what's working for me in my business. So if you ever want to get into real estate investing or wholesaling, I think it's a great place to start. We try to lead with value, just give a bunch of content and stuff away, and so we can help people get started. 2024, man, we have a lot. We're really excited. We're actually getting ready to launch our new system, Investor Plug. We're bringing on some huge partners that we're not ready to announce yet, but yeah, it's a AI CRM website, all in one, done for you package. So people can go from getting one or two deals to scaling to consistently doing multiple deals every week, and starting to make bigger money and making it more consistent.
Man, and that's one of the great things about sales is when you start building a machine and you get yourself set up and you have the skills, you can parlay those skills into other industries. So even if you're selling something else right now, if you want to get into real estate, you want to learn investing, this is an amazing opportunity at a great time with the way the market's shifting and things are going on. There's deals out there getting found every single day for the folks that are out there getting after it, man. So definitely something I would recommend them come and check out your podcast, follow you, listen to your content, because I know you're just really focused on speaking simply, sharing that back out with the people and really getting them set up, man. And one thing I always like to ask before we get out of these shows, let's say someone's totally new to sales, they're just getting started. If you could give them one piece of advice for this industry to be successful, what would that advice be?
Again, just getting the reps in, just being prepared, getting the reps in. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I first started, especially when I went from call centers to selling cars, which was a bigger ticket item, and it's a little more, so it's a lot harder sales in person, was I thought I'd get better if I just knew every single thing about the car. I thought that would make, someone want to buy the car because it has this many horsepower and it has whatever, all this bullshit. Nobody really cares. Like, obviously you need to know that stuff, but you can always find it after. They have big sheets on the car that you can just read it and find it. But not feeling like you have to know everything, but just understand what the sales process is, understand what your role in it is, and just focus on helping people, find out what they're trying to accomplish. If you can find out what their why is and what their motivation is, that's when you can sell someone. That's when you can help them. And stop being, it's like, this competitive thing. Like, ideally you're there to serve them and you're there to, help them get their desired end result. And when you start thinking about it that way, it's a heck of a lot less pressure than trying to think like, oh, fucking, it's me or them. Only one of us is going to survive. And just start thinking like, hey, how can I help these people? And if you can't, they don't have any motivation, just move on to the next one. There's always someone else.
Woo, that was brilliant, sir. And I absolutely love that advice. I know it's going to help someone really go out and change the way that they think and approach sales. So thank you again for your time. Thank you again for being here and sharing this amazing wisdom. If you guys are here listening, make sure you go follow Ky. Make sure you check out his podcast. Make sure you check out his social media. He's always dropping tons of value, just like you heard on today's show. If you are listening and you like the stories, and maybe you got a couple of crazy sales stories of your own, go to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Submit your information. Tell me about your story. I'd love to have you on the show and bring it to the world because, again, we know there's some wild and crazy shit that happens in this industry. And more than anything, I want to share that with the community. Get it out there, share some laughs, have some fun, and know that you can pick up some little nuggets of information that could truly change your trajectory in this industry. You could go from making 6 to 7 figures, whatever that number is for you, just by implementing the things you're learning on this show. So make sure you tune in, subscribe, share it with your friends. If you know someone in the sales industry, tag us on social media at Call the Damn Leads. We'd love to bring them in and share their story, just like Ky Logue, man. Thank you, brother. It has been an honor hanging out with you today.
Man, this was a lot of fun, dude. I love this. Love the podcast. Love what you're doing. I truly appreciate you and all you do for the community, man. So thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate you.
Yes, sir. I'm sure we'll bring you on for round 2, get a couple more of them crazy stories from the call center days out of you. Until then, we'll see you guys on the next one.